Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand and welcome to another day, another big day with the World Cup and United news. We'll be talking about Jude Bellingham, Max AARONS and also, I think more importantly, what is the transfer budget that Erik ten Hag is going to be working to in January? Because we're all coming up with options, but there's a very real chat and there's a very big clue as to what Erik ten Hag could be working with. Lateness is not greatness, as Mazza. I mean, how about being grateful? If you want to know the truth, we normally do the show at 10 o'clock. I have to take my son to school. I got stuck in traffic and had to run the final 10 minutes to be here for 9 o'clock. So you're lucky it's happening at 10 past 9. Maybe appreciate it or just don't watch it. It's free content. Take a chill pill. Busy day. We've got Argentina at 10 o'clock we're doing live for. We're doing 4 watch-alongs. We're doing a 9 o'clock show and a 9 p.m. show. So either get on board with the community that's just raised over 100 grand for charity or jog on because I don't want no negativity and I don't think anyone else does. So let's get into the show. Look, lots to talk about. Obviously, lots of people are saying the GOAT's playing today. I think Ronaldo's playing on Thursday. Oh, controversial. He's in that mood, is he? No, I'm looking forward to watching Argentina and I'm hoping, and maybe somebody can clarify it in the chat. We're hearing that Varane will be on the bench for France, which I don't know whether that's injury related or not tonight. But in relation to Argentina, Martinez is on the bench as well, which is disappointing because they play Otamendi and Romero, which makes me think this Argentina side ain't serious. They've got a good set of players, but they don't play Lisandro Martinez. They play Otamendi. I mean, that straight away makes me think that. I mean, a lot of people are just. I mean, I feel bad for Mania. He's saying I can't wait to see Martinez. He sat on the bench, mate, for Otamendi. I mean, I wouldn't have picked Otamendi over Martinez when he was at Man City, and he's fell off a lot since then. But this is the weirdness of international football. Welcome to it. I mean, we've got Harry Maguire playing for England. You know, you've got Mason Mount playing over Phil Foden. You've got Pickford playing over Ramsdale. International football is full of little quirks that managers make, isn't it? So, yeah, I can't believe it. Just Kevin says you've got to play the butcher. One of the best centre-backs in the Premier League at the moment. He's not starting for Argentina, which means it'll be hard for him to get into that team. It's hard. I think Varane will struggle to get in the French team as well. So, you know, they might not. Amos says Otamendi is good, to be fair. To be fair, he's not. I mean, like Tom says, is it 2016? Otamendi, where does he play now? Is he at like Benfica or something like that? He's bang average, mate. If you bang average. Anyway, let's get in with the show. Let's hit the headlines. First story I want to talk about is Jude Bellingham and then Max AARONS, and then we'll talk a little bit about transfer news and the transfer budget we're working to January. So look, Jude Bellingham will get mentioned around Manchester United a lot over the next few weeks. He'll get mentioned by a lot, linked to a lot of clubs. Liverpool think they're buying him. Real Madrid want him. There's a lot of interest. Man City like the look of him. He had a good game for England yesterday against, limited opposition, let's be fair, but it's not yesterday that makes Jude Bellingham the desirable signing for most people next summer. It's his pure quality. At 16 years of age, he played over 30 games in the Championship in midfield for Birmingham City. All unbelievable. For the last couple of years, he's been playing Champions League football for Borussia Dortmund in the Bundesliga. He's now an established player for England at 19, scoring goals in the World Cup. He's a fantastic talent. I've been watching football for many years. I've seen talents come and go. I've seen the Gascoignes. I've seen the Rooneys. I've seen the Michael Owens. I've seen the Theo Walcotts. I've seen the people who've offered much and then they don't deliver quite as much as you think they're going to do, like Joe Cole. So I've seen all sorts of English talents coming through, and I think the way that Jude Bellingham's doing it is very interesting. I think the position he plays makes it harder to do what he's doing at 19. I'm not relating him to Cesc Fabregas, but when Fabregas was playing centre midfield for Arsenal in the Premier League at 18, I thought, bloody hell, that's it's so hard to play centre midfield as a teenager. Rooney was built like an ox at 16 and he could play up front, but Michael Owen wasn't, and he was playing up front. You can get away with it on the wing. You can get away with it up front, being a teenager, but in the centre of midfield, it's a hard graft physically, and he doesn't look out of place at 19. He's an exceptionally talented footballer, and he will be the big move this summer. The thing is, who's going to get him, and can Manchester United get him? The official line from Manchester United is, and it's no secret and it's not really breaking news, Manchester United do see Jude Bellingham as a priority. Jude Bellingham is on Erik ten Hag's transfer list. The problem is he's on everybody's transfer list, and he's a priority for everybody. And it's whether Manchester United can actually do this deal for Jude Bellingham that really weighs heavy on everybody's thoughts. as I say, the official line from Manchester United is that they're very interested in Jude Bellingham. When he went to Dortmund, he came to Carrington with his dad, met Sir Alex Ferguson, and was, wooed, obviously ultimately not very well, by United. Now, the reason Bellingham didn't come to Man United was he felt that Dortmund and the people around him felt that Dortmund was the better developmental path, and he was 100% right. You look at what Bellingham's done since he went from Birmingham to Dortmund, and it couldn't have gone any better. He's played Champions League football, he's got in the England team, and he's 19. If he'd have come to Man United under Solskjaer, I dread to think where he would be now. We'd still be saying he's a talent of the future, but he wouldn't be in the England squad. He wouldn't have played Champions League football. He would have been probably loaned back to Birmingham or part of the youth setup, and that's true. So he made the right decision snubbing Manchester United. As much as I wish we'd got hold of him, he did make the right decision. Would he snub Man United in the future? I don't think there's any resonating bad feeling from Bellingham about Manchester United or his camp. I think ultimately it will be about what's the next best step for him. That will be financial, and it will be football. We, as a footballing team, are a little bit uncertain, but where any player and where Jude Bellingham would look at United now is he'd look at us more favourably than he did under Solskjaer. We've got a manager who wants to play a certain way. He will know from conversations with people like Marcus Rashford and Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire of the different path at Manchester United. So I've always said that Manchester United, in a footballing way, if we got Champions League football, we could go to Jude Bellingham in the summer and we could be an attractive proposition if we were in the Champions League. So you could say if United get top four or win the Europa League, Bellingham to United is a possibility, because you're not going to not want a player like that. He'll be 20 in the summer. Fantastic talent. We do need another midfielder. He would be brilliant for Manchester United. And if we get Champions League football and we're playing good football, why wouldn't he come to us over a Chelsea or a Liverpool or a Man City? The issue will really come down to money. Can Manchester United prioritise this type of a signing in the summer? And unfortunately, the answer is no, we can't. As of now, we can't do this deal because we don't have that sort of money to do it. We don't have the sort of money to sign Jude Bellingham and a striker and whatever else we want to do. And United's priority will be a striker, whether it's in January or whether it's January and the summer. That is where they need to spend. So Jude Bellingham becomes a very difficult deal for Manchester United to do financially. If you're Chelsea or you're Liverpool or maybe Man City, and that's the signing you want to make, Bellingham's got to be your number one signing, is what I'm trying to say. And I don't think United will have the funds to go for Jude Bellingham in the summer, because I don't think he's going to be the priority signing, which is a shame, because we do need that type of player. I mean, Bellingham for me would play next to Casemiro like he plays next to Declan Rice. And yeah, Eriksen does that role, but we need somebody else who can do it as well. And obviously there's a massive difference between Fred and McTominay and someone like Jude Bellingham. So I think Jude Bellingham is a priority for Manchester United. I think he is somebody that we've scouted a lot extensively, and I think he is a player that Man United would like to sign. But I think Everton would like to sign him. I think everyone would like to sign him. That doesn't mean that we will. So look, I expect Manchester United to get linked to him. I would never say it's impossible, but he would have to become our priority. And I think we all are aware that we've got different priorities at Manchester United this summer. And also, we've also got to remember, what is the budget next summer? We're going to talk about what the budget's likely to be in January in a few minutes' time, but what is the budget going to be in the summer? We've already been hinted at that the money's not there, that they need to build a new stadium, that sponsors want out, that there won't be spending like there was last summer, next summer. So I just don't think we're going to be in this argument. And of course, you're dealing with Borussia Dortmund, who we dealt with Sancho, and there was no competition, and it took us over a year to do it. We tried one summer, we lost out, we went back the following summer and we paid what they wanted. So even if there was no competition for Bellingham, I think we would struggle to do a deal with Dortmund, because we always do. There's going to be big competition, and the bidding is going to start at 100 million quid, isn't it? Let's be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw another Grealish type of deal where there's interest in Grealish, but nobody wants to pay 100 million, and Man City go, yeah, we will. And maybe Dortmund will say, yeah, we want 150 million, and maybe Man City or Real Madrid give it, and that'll be us out of that conversation. So I would be, like Wright says, a midfielder is not the primary focus at the moment. Chris says we should offer Dortmund a part exchange for Fred and McTominay. Marcus says, I think Bellingham going to City, let's be real, and nothing will happen, Mark. It's just stretching this because Alpha, what are you talking about? Get rid of you, idiot. Alpha, we've been doing the morning show, news show, for about 7 years. COVID hit for 2 months. There was no games, there was no transfers, and we still did a morning show. So if you don't want to watch it, please just disappear and go somewhere else. I'm not in for this negativity. We're live every morning at 9 o'clock, and we're live every night at 9 p.m. on the United Stand, and we're doing all the watch-alongs for the World Cup on That's Football. If you want to be part of that community and vibe, great. If you don't, take your negativity and go and watch one of the other twats. Not interested. Bellingham is unattainable. We need a more reasonable player, says Lath. And Bellingham didn't want to come in that first place. But Bolver, we've just spoken about that. We've literally just spoken about he didn't come to United and he quite rightly chose Dortmund. But we're a different club with Ten Hag. The reason we look in a very very simple way, United want Bellingham, Ten Hag wants Bellingham, but so does most of Europe. We won't have the money to do this deal. We will miss out because Real Madrid or Man City or Liverpool will get into a bidding war and they'll blow us out the water because we won't be able to get in this deal. But we absolutely categorically will be linked to him. And that's basically what I've spoken to him about there. Now, moving on from Bellingham, because I'm sure we'll be mentioning him a lot over the coming weeks and months. I ultimately don't think we'll do that deal. I'd love to be proven wrong. Whoever gets hold of Bellingham's getting a fantastic player, by the way. And if he come, I actually hope he goes to Real Madrid, because if he goes to Liverpool or Man City, it just takes them up to another level, doesn't it? And I think that's an interesting consideration to have. Tielemans, I don't think we're going to do anything with Tielemans, Rahul. I do think we'll move for Harry Kane in the summer, IK. That's just a personal feeling. Just Keevan thinks Bellingham's sister is cute. Lovely stuff. And let's get rid of you as well. Max Aarons. I want to talk to you about Max Aarons. Now, this is a story that's been floating around for a few days now. And I'm just not really, it's been on my list to talk about, just not really had the chance to talk about it. In fact, I was going to talk about it. What have I got here? That must have been Saturday morning. Max Aarons, Ronaldo, Martial bust up. No, that was yesterday morning to TeamViewer, wasn't it, as well? So, Max Aarons is a right back. Breaking news. That's the story. We'll be back tomorrow. No, Max Aarons is a right back. Obviously, he's at Norwich City at the moment. I think he's still in his early 20s. He's got 18 months left on his contract. He's out of contract in 2024. Now, Norwich pretty much accept that it's going to be difficult to get him to sign a new contract. Obviously, Norwich, I don't know where they are in the Championship at the moment, but they're a yo-yo club. They seem to get promoted and get relegated straight away. Max Aarons is apparently looking for a move. There is a lot of interest in him, and Norwich would be looking to cash in next summer so that they can get some money over no money, which is what a Championship club will do. So the expectation is that Max Aarons is going to move next summer, which could be pushed forward to January. Man United are looking for a right back. There's a lot of uncertainty about who the right back is that United are looking for at the moment. Obviously, Dumfries played quite well for the Dutch yesterday. You've got Frimpong as well. There's a few others that have been mentioned. Even Ethan Laird coming back from QPR. But I would, I've been told I would keep an eye on the Max Aarons situation. There's a bit of uncertainty about why United are linked to him, and what I mean by that is it could be historical. When you think about people like Nkunku, that's not a Ten Hag target, it's historical. Koulibaly kept getting mentioned, Milinkovic-Savic keeps getting mentioned, that's historical interest. So Max Aarons was a player that was being looked at in the Solskjaer era, but he has been mentioned quite a lot around United at the moment. Now that could be historical because he was linked to Solskjaer, it could be because Ten Hag is going, yeah, I don't mind the look of this player. I think it would be interesting if Erik Ten Hag was interested in Max Aarons, being as he's a Championship Norwich player, but it wouldn't actually be surprising because I think Erik Ten Hag has got a good grasp of the world football scene, and it would certainly be a deal that United could do for somewhere between 10 and 20 million quid for Max Aarons. I mean, that's the price that's being mentioned because he's a Championship player with 18 months left on his contract. So I think there was a time where Norwich would have been looking for 30, 40 million, but that is not going to be the case now. You're looking at somewhere between 10 and 20. So, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. What do I think about the player? I've always quite liked him. I'm actually surprised he's still at Norwich, which would probably be a bit of a concern. But if you are looking for a right back to come in and work under the low and then over time challenge Delo, basically what Malacia is doing with Shaw, he might not be a bad hit. I think some people want us to go for like the Hakimis of this world, but I think in Delo we've got one of the better right backs in Europe this season. So really, we need a younger right back who's going to come in, develop, and challenge. He might fit that. Do you think we will go back in for Timber in the summer? Says Oliver. I wouldn't rule it out. I think that, you know, same as I was talking about Gakpo last night. Players that Ten Hag wants, De Jong, Timber, Gakpo, they're always going to be high on your list when you think about who might be signed next, because you know that they are players that he likes and they're still available. Mark, rank these right back options: Gusto, Frimpong, Dumfries, Laird, and AARONS. I want to move on because I know we've got the Argentina game, but my priority out of that would be Dumfries, JFVA. Hi Mark, instead of signing Bellingham, why United go and find the next Bellingham type, cheap and not occupied, and try to transfer budgets? Exactly. I think we spoke about that a while ago, and I do agree with you. I think that is exactly what Manchester United need to be doing. 90% club with Bellingham, says Jared. Not a chance. I will not be going 90% club on Jude Bellingham. I'll be 90% sure we won't signing if you want to do that. I really don't think that that's a deal that United are going to do, if I'm absolutely honest. But it depends what sort of players you want. And I do agree with that previous comment about going for players that are, you know, the next up and coming thing. And look, I don't think Max AARONS is a bad signing. But for me, it's always about what Ten Hag wants to do. So I don't think Max AARONS is a bad signing. I think that Malacia at left back is perfection in relation to that's the type of player that you want to bring into the club, who is going to develop, is young, and work under a more senior fullback in Luke Shaw. So yeah, I think if you did bring Max AARONS in and he was the understudy to Delo, that might work quite well. But I would say I don't think we're looking at Max AARONS. Even though we could do the deal for 10, 15 million, I don't think we're looking at him. It just doesn't seem like a Ten Hag type signing, and it seems a bit historical. But there are a few rumours floating around the press and a few sources that Max AARONS is a player that United are considering. But we're going to get more and more of this over the coming days and weeks anyway. We know we need a right back and we know we need a striker. And whilst there are a lot of journalists thinking about the World Cup, there is a lot going on with Manchester United, and there are a lot of journalists who are focusing on that as well. So look, we'll see what happens with it. I wouldn't be too concerned if we did that. Make sure you smash a like on the video if you're watching, by the way. Remember, our next few days we're live at 9 o'clock instead of 10 o'clock because of these 10 o'clock kickoffs for the World Cup. So I'm covering Argentina at 10 o'clock. Martinez on the bench for Argentina for Otamendi. International football does irritate me in certain ways, you know. Yeah, he does. It does. Anyway, just very, very quickly on that, and it raises a point I just wanted to drop into your heads, really, probably the most interesting point of the show. What's our budget in January? What is our budget in January? Now, considering John Murtagh said we're not going to spend like we did last summer, Richard Arnold has already said that next summer's budget will be challenging. There's been plenty of rumours coming out of United and leaks that they don't want to be active in January. They want to wait until the summer. Obviously, we know we've got to be active in January. We need a right back and we need a striker urgently. So what would the budget be in January for a club that doesn't want to spend in January but has to spend in January and doesn't have much of a budget for the summer? What is the budget going to be? Because I see people going, let's get Dumfries for 30 and let's get Gakpo for 40. That's 70 million. We're not going to raise 70 million by moving Wan-Bissaka out on loan and terminating Ronaldo's contract. So what is the budget in January? I would say that you are operating between 0 and 50 max. I don't think we've got more than 50 million. I don't think they want to spend anything, but I think we're looking at about 50 million if we're lucky in January, based on what the club have said previously. And that's a problem, isn't it? And this is I suppose it goes back to the Jude Bellingham issue. I guarantee you Eric Ten Hag sees Jude Bellingham as a priority that he wants to bring to Manchester United. But this is what we always talk about. You can have the manager, you can have the fan base, but you cannot have the rebuild if the manager is like this, one arm behind his back, trying to fight. And ultimately, it's always going to come down to money, isn't it? You can't have Jude Bellingham because we can't afford him. You can't have a right back and a set striker like you want because we haven't got enough money for you. And this is going to be a problem. It'll be a problem in the summer and it'll be a problem in January. So I do think we need to consider what the budget will be in January. And I I mean, I know the budget's zero. They don't want to spend anything. The Ronaldo exit and the refusal of Ten Hag to use Wan-Bissaka has basically meant that United have got to move Wan-Bissaka on and they've got to move Ronaldo on. And if you move those on, you've got to replace them. Otherwise, the fan base is going to go, you've just fucked this club up halfway through the season. We're going to be playing 3 games a week from January to May. You haven't brought a right back in and you haven't replaced Ronaldo. So the club are in a position where they're exposed, and quite rightly, Ten Hag has exposed them indirectly by saying, I can't work with Ronaldo and I can't work with Wan-Bissaka, so you need to replace them for me. But the issue United have got is they're very unlikely to get a transfer fee for Wan-Bissaka, and they won't get a transfer fee for Ronaldo. Now, Ronaldo's going to raise $2 million a month in wages, which adds up to about 10 million over the rest of the season. So there's 10 million there. You might take a hit on Wan-Bissaka and get 15 million. You've got 25 million there. I mean, but that's logical business sense from Manchester United. Ultimately, I think they've got to find 50 million from somewhere. And even 50 million is only going to get you Gakpo and Max Aarons. It's not going to get you Gakpo and Dumfries or Frimpong. So this is why we need new owners, says Jack. They just don't care at all. I think there's a very big challenge coming in the summer in relation to how much money we've actually got. And I'll be very interested to see what we do, because we do obviously need to spend money, but how much we've got is going to have a huge impact. There is hope, of course, and I mean, for me, this is why I've always said I think we will spend in January, because I know that Ten Hag won't use Wan-Bissaka, and we know what's going to happen with Ronaldo. But I mean, where this money's going to come from, they have got the money, but yeah, I find it very interesting. And there's a lot of people in the chat saying, well, I think we might have 70 million to spend in January. It'll be coming out, the trouble is it'll be coming out the summer budget as well. So yeah, it'd be very, very interesting to see, what sort of backing he gets in what will be imperative and urgent in many ways. When you look at the likes of Arsenal, Newcastle, Chelsea, Spurs, Liverpool, and I'm not going to mention Man City because I think they'll win the league, and maybe you could take Arsenal out of that as well. But certainly Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool. I mentioned Arsenal again. Newcastle is what I meant. There's 4 or 5 teams there that are working on transfers now. They're looking to rebuild in January. I've spoke to a few players at different clubs who sort of follow me on Instagram and stuff, and they message me every now and again. And I've said to them, what approach what approach do you think your club will have in January? And a couple of them have replied, and they've said it's basically like the start of a new season. It feels like it feels like off season at the moment because they're not at the World Cup. So they're like, it feels like the off season. We've had a bit of a break. It's light training. There's going to be a few sort of pre-season things, and there's loads of players away. And we've got the Carabao Cup. Then it's Christmas, and it feels like off season. So January feels like a brand new season. Obviously, they don't know what their clubs are doing in the transfer sense. But if players who are left at home feel like it's off season, that means clubs, executives will be treating it like an off season as well, and they'll be looking at, when we come back in January, are we happy with what we've got? Do we want to get players in? And that's not rocket science. That's absolute obvious science, isn't it? We know that that's going to be the case. We know that clubs have got, you think about the Todd Bowleys of this world, the Newcastles of this world. They're going to be using this time. I'm sure they're watching the World Cup, but they'll be watching it for different reasons. But they're going to be speaking to their manager, like Eddie Howe and Graham Potter, and there'll be a lot of work going on about, what's the vision for the rest of the season. We're playing a lot of games. We're in a lot of tournaments. If we can win a lot of games, we could be in the Champions League. We could win this. How do we look in mid-February? You've got a lot of players coming back from the World Cup, fatigue. We're probably going to hit late February and start picking up a lot of injuries. Do you want a couple of players to come in that aren't in the World Cup? There's a lot of clever things you can do. And Newcastle are in a great position because the Newcastle have not got many players at the World Cup, and they're not playing in Europe as well. So if they can add a couple of players who are non-World Cup players as well, they're laughing, Newcastle. Look, off the top of my head, Newcastle have got Botman, Byrne, Isaac, St Maximin, Almiron, Joel Linton. They've got loads of players who aren't actually going to be at the World Cup. So, yeah, that's what we're up against. And United need to be thinking like that. And I know they are thinking like that. And I know they are looking at options, but they are limited by a budget. And I think Ten Hag can sit there and go, I need this player and this player, and he can knock on the door of Richard Arnold, and Richard Arnold can go, yeah, we haven't got the money for you, Eric. We just haven't got the money. We can't do anything about it. And that could be an issue, which is always a bit of an issue for Manchester United, isn't it? So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with it. But there we go. Mark, who do you think goes further in the World Cup, Argentina or Portugal? I would love to see a final of Argentina versus Portugal. I would absolutely love to see that final. Argentina, Portugal, Messi against Ronaldo in their final World Cup, which is really their final World Cup. I'd absolutely love to see it, but whether we will get to see it, everyone or not, I don't know. Twist says, why is everyone hating on Harry Kane? He's won nothing. Yeah, neither would bloody Haaland at Tottenham. He's a good striker, in my opinion. Twisted Fate, I actually think we will go for Harry Kane. I really do think we'll go for Harry Kane. It's a hunch. Robert McCormack would be very excited about it. I've said it a few times. I really do think we're going to go for Harry Kane. I've got a conversation with somebody this afternoon at 2 o'clock, which could be an interesting conversation around United and strikers. So hopefully by 9 o'clock I'll have a bit of an update on that. But my hunch is we'll go for Harry Kane in the summer. I think United want a shirt seller and they want a big striker. And they want somebody who's proven. So Harry Kane with 1 year left on his deal. If Spurs don't get Champions League football, he'll go. If we've got Champions League football, we're appealing. He wants to break the Premier League goal record. I think Man United and Harry Kane is so logical. I just think it's going to happen. Why don't I want it to happen? He's going to be 30 years of age in the summer. And we'll have to pay about 80 million quid for him with 1 year left on his deal. And you know, I watch Harry Kane. He's a very good player, but I just don't think he's what United need. I think Harry Kane's like a younger Cavani, a younger Ronaldo. He's coming in at 30. 30's not old, but the rebuild's going to take 3 years. By the time the rebuild's done, he'll be 33. I don't think Harry Kane's going to play till he's 37 like Ronaldo. I think Harry Kane's already had a lot of injuries in his career. Ronaldo never did. So I think by the time he's 33, he'll be like Cavani, barely able to play. So I just don't see the value in Harry Kane long term. Short term, yeah. Long term, no. You're much better. Somebody said it, we've said it. Instead of buying Harry Kane, buy the next Harry Kane, because you can develop him over 3 years, and then 3 years' time, you've got him at 25 for 5 years in his prime. I think that's where United need to stop buying 30-year-olds and start buying 22-year-olds that Ten Hag can develop, because Ten Hag can develop. We've got a good balance. We've got Casemiro's 30, Eriksen's 30, Varane's 30. They're 3 of our best players this season. We don't need any more 30-year-olds. What we do need is transition and development, and Ten Hag's proved he can do that. What are your thoughts on Christian Pulisic? Do you think he should move from Chelsea? I think he's a very, very good player. Bob, I think he's a very, very good player. I thought that before, obviously, watching him yesterday. And if Chelsea aren't going to use him, then I think he should move on, yeah. But I do rate Harry Kane. I think he's a fantastic player. I just don't think it's the right sort of signing we should go for. But I do really think Harry Kane will end up at United in the summer. Just got this hunch about it. Anyway, talking about GOATs, let's get ready for the Messi show. I'm going to be live in about 4 minutes' time on That's Football for Argentina versus Saudi Arabia. The first of 4 games today. Martinez is on the bench, but Messi starts. We've also got Denmark at 1, Mexico, Poland at 4. Ricky's on that watch-along in the studio. And then France at 7. So loads of watch-alongs on That's Football. Make sure you're on there today, getting involved in the community and the chat. And obviously I'm back on here at 9 o'clock tonight, straight after the French game for the night show, which is moved from 8 o'clock. So make sure you smash the like and subscribe. Lots and lots of football content and chat for you. I'll speak tonight at 9 o'clock on here, but I'll speak to you in about 5 minutes on That's Football. I'll push you over there now. Thanks for watching.